Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this session. I'm Wenjing. I'm a research fellow at the University of Kent and also a researcher in residence for this Kent Research Partnership, which aims to build research capacity in adult social care in Kent. And I will chair today's session. Our main speakers, Gina and Lily, will be leading the presentation. After their talk, we will have sufficient time for questions and discussion. If you have questions during the presentation, please feel free to type them in the chat and we will address them during the Q&A session, or you can raise your hand to ask directly when it's a Q&A time. So first, a quick introduction to our speakers. Gina Walton is a digital and innovation lead for adult social care and health at Kent County Council. She is co-leading this Kent Research Partnership together with Professor Anne-Marie Towers. Lily Trapp is a research facilitator for adult social care at Kent County Council. Her role is central to this partnership and is funded through it. So for this partnership, it is one of 6 NIHR-funded research capacity building partnerships in adult social care in England, started from 2021. And the others included Connected Evidence to Practice, which is based in Bristol, Creating Care Partnerships, which focuses on building research and practice partnerships, mainly focusing on social care homes in England-wide, and also Peninsula Adult Social Care Collaborative, which covers Torbay, Cornwall, Somerset in the Southwest region, and also Social Care Research in Practice Teams, which has its short name called Script Study, focusing on building research capacity in social care and social work in East of England. And also lastly, about another partnership, Curiosity, which focuses on Yorkshire and Humber. So Kent Research Partnership is the only one that is in Southeast, and we've been running for 3 years and more now, and we are looking forward to develop further in the upcoming months. So with that, I'll hand over to Gina and Lily, who will share more details about this partnership in Kent. Is Gina there? Can we hear Gina?
I'm not sure. She might. I know she's out at a community hall, so maybe I'll just start, and if she reappears, she can pick up. If that's all right. So as Wenjing said, the Kent Research Partnership is one of these 6 partnerships that was funded back in June 2021, and at the moment we're running until May 2025. We are funded by the NIHR, and our aims are to build research capacity and develop a research culture in adult social care in Kent. Quite ambitious. This means helping the social care workforce become research ready in a variety of ways, which we will get into, improving the dissemination of research findings to ensure they have impact on practice and don't just get lost, and helping a new generation of researchers, including those with expertise through their own experience and professional backgrounds, to deliver projects. So we have a number of work streams that are addressing all of these aims. Thank you. So the first one is communities of practice. I will go into each of them in a bit more detail on the next slides, but this kind of shows you how they all link together with the overall aim of building research capacity and culture. And Wenjing, who is also one of our researchers in residence based at the University of Kent, myself and Vanessa Abrahamson, we're the researchers in residence in the middle of the screen there, kind of working across all the other work streams to support our fellows, to drive the communities of practice, to lead on dissemination and impact, and draw people into the partnership. So if we go to the next slide.
Hi Lily, sorry I dropped. It's Gina here. Sorry about that. I completely dropped off.
That's all right. Shall I do?
You did a fabulous job.
All right, I'll do these two, and then I'll hand back to you, Gina, for the fellowships, if that's all right. So we started developing our research priorities with these wide networking events. 3 were held, starting from very wide-ranging, all ideas welcome, to narrowing them down a bit, prioritizing them. And as you can see, there are various themes that came out from a wide variety of people that focused around these main areas of enhancing workforce sustainability, empowering under-researched groups, effective interprofessional working, and co-production. And some of these, well, all of them really, we have developed into our 2 communities of practice, but we felt the theme of co-production, for example, rather than being a separate theme to research, really should sit underneath everything that we are doing. So if we move on to our houses, thank you, you can see that co-production, equality, diversity and inclusion, and a practice-oriented approach are the building blocks, the foundation stones of our houses that are the communities of practice. So we envisage these as a very broad forum for people to discuss research relevant to the broad themes of community of practice on the left, supporting people with complex needs throughout the lifespan, and in green, enhancing, diversifying and sustaining the social care workforce. So both communities of practice have come from what people said was important to them. They meet most months online via Zoom. Sometimes we bring the 2 together when we have speakers or topics that are of interest to both communities of practice. And alongside the meetings, which include people with lived experience talking about their experience of using direct payments, for example, they include researchers who might be sharing findings in a maybe more accessible way than sending people off to read a journal article. They might be developing a bid and looking for people's ideas or to build a team, or it might be somebody who's delivering an innovation who is also maybe looking for ways to evaluate it, or looking for a team or people who are interested in the same kind of topic. So it brings all those people together. And it, alongside the meetings, we also have an online platform. I think the ARC kindly lets us use their platform of glass cubes, which may be familiar to you, but it's basically a quite simple messaging platform. We can upload the files there. People can share other things they've been reading or events they're aware of, and it helps to keep people connected. And when we've started to evaluate communities of practice, it's really come through as something that's valuable to people. I think particularly people with lived experience, who obviously aren't having everyday other training sessions and things. It helps them to stay connected and in touch with each other and feel that sense of community that we were hoping to foster. We'll hand over to Gina now.
If Gina is still with us.
Thank you, Lily. I appeared at the start due to... Yes, I'm still... I'm still... Hello?
I think your internet is broken out.
Can you not hear me at all?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Well then, apologies, and apologies that I slipped away. I'm working in a community setting today, so the internet's not very good, but it's part of the work that we do when we were trying to engage and work with our communities. Okay, so just going into a bit more detail around some of the key activities that we're doing as part of the partnership. One is around our research and training fellowships. For us, it was really important to invest in our workforce, and that includes the social care workforce, but also our care sector workforce, and looking at career pathways in particular around research. And building up that capacity within that workforce to be able to continue to undertake research activities. So we protected funding as part of the project to invest in research and training fellowships. We went through a process where we opened up to individuals to put in their ideas, and that process was very much supported by the researchers in residence to develop those ideas. And then there was a panel which included our working group, which consists of people with lived experience, to review the submissions. So we're now in a place where we have 4 underway, which is fantastic. So we've got Hannah, who I believe is with us today. In fact, I think most of the fellows are with us, or I certainly know Hannah is with us. Hannah is exploring thriving, surviving, so really thinking about burnout in social workforce, which is so relevant at the moment. And what we hope is not only are we building the skills and that career development for Hannah, but also the learning that Hannah will identify through this research that can be then put back into supporting us to support the social care workforce and address any issues that are identified there. Lisa is looking at neurodiversity, again, very relevant topic, and about how we support social workers, particularly those in manager roles, to support staff that have neurodiversity. We have Sophie, who's exploring barriers and enablers that influence working age individuals with MS, and considering the employment opportunities for them. And what's brilliant is that Sophie is part of Disability Assist, so that's part of our voluntary and community organisations that support people. So we said earlier, this was very much for us to think about how we build up the skills of our workforce, but that includes our workforce and on our partners, so people that are helping us deliver health and social care. And then there's Bethany, who's working within a social care provider, tender loving carers, and looking at the evaluation of digital interventions and how they're used within supporting people. So very varied, but all very relevant topics. So we're investing in developing the skills of these individuals, building up that research capacity within the workforce, both social care, internal and external, but also hopefully a lot of learning that will come from these research activities that will help us make future improvements for people that we support, but also our social care workforce. So very exciting for us. If we can just go on to the next slide, please, Wenjing. Thank you. So I've just briefly touched upon this, that we had working group members that were part of the panels to review the submissions for the fellowships. So we have a really thriving working group that consists of about 8 people. And this group has been with us from the very beginning. John Potts is the co-chair with myself, and John was involved in the design of the research project, so involved in very, very early days. And what's really good is that the group feel that there's truly a power balance, that there's that the group really drive the activities, they drive the discussions. When they come together, there's very few academic and social care staff. It's very much driven by the working group, so that they do feel truly empowered. So some key achievements from the working group. the group decided that it's quite difficult to get into co-production, particularly when you are trying to manage maybe caring responsibilities and think about how do you manage your own time, but also feel that you are contributing, but have the confidence to contribute as well, and know that what you're contributing is meaningful and having an impact. So as a working group, we designed a training program and support program that was delivered to members of the co-production group, and we've been able to bring that group back together again for the training once a year. The training meet on every 3 months, and in between that we send out regular updates on what's happening and where co-production members can get involved. We've shared our experience nationally through a blog. We've together produced a blog to share the importance of co-production and the impact of co-production. The members of the group have played a key role in various events, and we have an impact log, which is really important because for the members of the group, they need to understand how they are contributing and what difference it makes. So by having an impact log, we're able to capture that information throughout the project, showing the different work that the members participate in, because it's such a big program of work. Members are involved in various aspects. So the impact log demonstrates, brings it all together, what we're doing and the impact that the group are having, and we reflect on that every time we meet and make sure that we celebrate success, but also identify further opportunities for the group to be involved and know that they're making a meaningful contribution to building that research capacity in Kent and beyond, sharing that learning beyond. The group were involved in testing the new evaluation method, the Cube, by the National Institute of Health Research, and several members of the group have taken on an advisory role. So the group is really active, they're thriving. We do pay them for their time, which is really important, and we do also say thank you to them through regular hampers. Because we meet virtually and we don't come together very often in person, we do send them hampers to say thank you and a Christmas gift, which shows how much we appreciate and value their contribution and the time that they put into this. Because outside of the meetings, as I say, they are very active in various aspects, which could include writing papers, reading papers, and part of the communities of practice. Go on to the next slide, please. Okay, so the benefits of being part of the building research capacity. So Kent is only one of 6, so which is really good for us in Kent because it puts us on the map. But we are only one of 6, which means we're hopefully leading the way and sharing our experience. Care Quality Commission, the CQC has for the powers to inspect care providers. That's either providers that are delivering care in a community or in a care home, but CQC is now also assessing social care departments in local authority. So for us, being part of a research collaborative really demonstrates the commitment to research, that national leadership and the capacity. So it's good for us. We were able to showcase that to CQC, but also for the care providers that are involved, that they can capture this as their part of their evidence that they can provide to CQC. And this has been a part of the building blocks that has allowed us to start to build up that research capacity, the skills, interest, and valuing the importance of research in terms of professional decision making, researching and evidence in why we should be doing particular activities or projects or accessing funding. And that's allowed us now to continue to explore what other funding opportunities are available so that we can continue to build on that research income and take on more research activities within Kent. And it allows us to show to potential employees that we value professional development. We invest in professional development, and that helps us attract and retain a skilled workforce in social care. Just touched upon this briefly, but research really helps us with that evidence informed practice, that decision making. So gathering research and that evidence allows practitioners to make those informed choices that they can then also confidently put that to decision makers. So that informs and improves practice, but also where we're thinking about particular improvements or transformation, we're able to back up those ideas and decisions through using research and evidence to show why investing maybe in a transformation project is worthwhile. And it's allowed us to change the dynamics in the way that we work with people and our partners, and we're having very different relationships with people that draw on care and support, and our partners in Kent. We come together to seek out opportunities to collaborate on research. And as I say, our working group feels that there really has truly been that power shift, that they are empowered to drive these discussions and initiate our ideas, and that it's allowed us to influence national policy as well. So there's been many benefits to us to be part of this, and as we're now coming to the end of the 4 years, being able to showcase that learning nationally, and has certainly, as I say, given us those building blocks to continue to build up that capacity in social care for research. If we can go on to the next slide, please. So there are benefits, and we are very passionate about research, and there is that true we do have commitment from our senior leadership team, but there are some challenges also which we wanted to share with you today. So some of those challenges are around the capacity of our workforce to engage with research activities. Practitioners are very busy with a day job, and although it's important that they have protected time for their own professional development, we realise that sometimes comes second to then the day job that they need to and want to do. So there is always that issue around individuals' capacity and their competing priorities, and really working with managers as well to make sure that people are given protected time to engage with research activities, and managers understanding the importance of staff being able to engage in research activities and what impact that can have in terms of professional development, improving outcomes for people that we support in Kent. So there's some of the key messages and work that we've had to do to show that to managers, so that when they are having supervision and conversations with the workforce, they really think about research within those conversations and make sure that staff are being supported to engage with the research activities. Impacts of new ways of working. So we've been through a lot of change in Kent, and that again has had an impact on staff really being able to engage. Certainly whilst people are going through restructures, they're unsettled and are not able to or also willing to be able to engage in activities that they see as maybe in addition to the day job. And then linked into capacity for staff to engage with research activities is then the lack of ability to be able to backfill people. So if people want to go into a fellowship, that's supported by managers, but the issue then is, well, we might have a qualified social worker that's going to be freed up for a year. It's quite difficult to then backfill that person because of recruitment retention challenges, and then also people may not want to be able to take a temporary contract on, so that has been a balancing act that we've had to manage. And then also us as a team, so Wenjing, Lily, Vanessa, we're a small team within a Kent is a large county. We're a very small presence within the large directorate, and it does the resilience of the team to keep going and promoting research, and every opportunity, going to team meetings, using newsletters, wherever we can to really showcase the work that we're doing, engage people with the work, and engage them, so that the team are very resilient and continue to do that. But as I say, it does help that we do have a senior leadership team that are committed to research, and help us drive these drive this forward. And then access to research funding, something we're really keen to do, particularly is that kind of sustainability. So what happens after this research partnership? For us, it's about how we have now built those skills to continue to access research funding, to put Kent on the map and developing those research skills. But our challenges is around the availability of researchers and to be able to respond to calls when they come about, which is one that we're still working through. Next slide, please, Wenjing. Lily.
That's me, yes. So thank you, Gina. So we want to highlight, after the challenges, some of our achievements and progress. We're really proud that so the networking that turned into the communities of practice started pretty much from the start of the project in June 2021, and we set up our communities of practice in June 2022. And we're really proud that we have over 100 members signed up to one, many people signed up to both, and that we've run them regularly for 2 years, and the interest is still there to keep them going, which is great, because we said we would obviously keep doing them as long as there was still interest. So it's really great that we have some very dedicated members, along with the flexibility that people can just drop in when there's a topic that interests them. So yeah, we are certainly helping to show people to build those bridges and between research and practice through those groups, which is really good. Gina's mentioned our lived experience working group. It's been really great bringing that group together, co-chaired by John. The training that they commissioned is really good and has other teams, and people have been very interested in that training, and they really are essential to everything that we do. Gina mentioned one of the benefits is around contributing to national policy and having Kent having a voice, especially as we are such a large county. We submitted as a partnership and in collaboration with some of the other 5 partnerships, evidence to the Parliamentary Inquiry, House of Lords Inquiry into the invisibility of adult social care, and also policy briefings and other opportunities, speaking at conferences where there's various people from national organisations. It's all really positive. In terms of investing in the workforce, we're obviously very proud that all our fellows are making great progress, and it'll be really exciting for them to share. They themselves have been speaking at conferences, doing various activities. They'll be writing up their research, and yeah, we're very proud of them and really pleased with their progress. And we are starting to develop new bids and go through that process. And as Gina mentioned, the support from the senior leadership team at KCC has been great and has been growing, I think, recently, as we've started to develop more ideas, have more research governance applications coming through that they have sight of, and things like that, to show the variety of research that's going on, and how good it is for us and our staff to be involved. So yeah, lots of positives. And if we go to the next slide, our Kent Research Partnership also has the lead role. We have some kind of extra funding to do some cross-partnership work, to look across all 6 of the partnerships and understand the similarities, the differences, between what each are doing. Kent is quite specific in that we are specifically between one university and one local authority, although people from, as Gina mentioned, the providers in Kent, the voluntary sector in Kent, everyone is very welcome, but the co-leads are those two, which isn't the same in all the partnerships. So that's one of the differences, but there are many similarities. One of the things they've done, this is led by Dr. Shirley Keemink, is bring together these 10 top tips of things to consider when setting up a social care research capacity building partnership. And I think it would be relevant for lots of different types of partnerships and capacity building partnerships. I know it's quite small, but I'm sure you'll get the slides. But we thought we'd just go through these because it really highlights some of the things that we've found over these past few years. So one is around time. I can't really believe we've been doing 3 years. It does kind of fly by, but many things take longer than you might think to set up when working between organisations, especially two big organisations like KCC and the University of Kent. And also to obviously develop meaningful relationships. That is so key to all of this. It's going to take that time. So we have to allow for that when planning, to have the opportunities to invest in time. Expectations is another one. Often when we go out, we go to lots of events and people say, oh, what research are you doing then? And we realise we've maybe in our job titles and in other things, we need to be really clear about the expectations, the aims of the partnership, and what we're actually doing, as well as joint expectations about which partner is going to be delivering what. Relationships are key, and a lot of the work that we've done has been built kind of on the relationships we built within our team, which is really great. We meet regularly. Wenjing, Vanessa and I especially are in constant contact, and that's really helped to just get things moving between the organisations or find out things that you wouldn't otherwise if we didn't have those close relationships. But obviously also with all the, often we have people from various viewpoints and different organisations and things attending our communities of practice. So building relationships is really key to those being a success. Number 4 is about perspective, understanding the starting point, the priorities of partners. Research may mean very different things to the local authority and to university, which I think it does. People think of research in terms of, for example, market research, quality improvement, various aspects which universities may not consider to be academic research. So it really has to fit with everyone's priorities and find those common perspectives. Flexibility is definitely essential to success. We've had to adapt. We originally thought we were going to have communities of practice as well as a kind of two sides of the coin training session, but we found we were actually putting on too many events with too many guest speakers, and it wasn't really sustainable to for us to keep trying to find all those speakers relative to the number of people who were coming, whereas when we put on just focused on the communities of practice and made those as good as they could be, that seemed to work a lot better. So that was something that we had to adapt. Also around timelines, recruitment, all of these things require elements of flexibility. Infrastructure, resources, all of these things have been things that we've had to go through, from laptops for fellowships, different IT systems for the two organisations, knowing the research governance infrastructure, which we've also been developing during the time of this project, which has been good, which has also been really helpful because I obviously sit alongside lots of the academic colleagues at least one day a week. So it's been really helpful to be able to talk people through what we do at KCC and have that more familiar face rather than their governance applications disappearing into a black hole of an online form. The involvement of practitioners, Gina's already mentioned, it is really difficult to not that practitioners are not interested. They definitely are. And I was at an event this morning. Lots of people were really interested, but it has to be easy as possible for them to do it, and also to sell it to their managers for them to get involved. So it certainly has to be protected. Their time to be involved has to be protected financially, but also practically. I know some of our fellows have struggled with this. Some of our fellows are doing part-time. Others are doing full-time to take that so that they're completely protected from being contacted from their day jobs. But certainly the fellows who are working part-time and researching part-time have had to be very disciplined about their days to make sure that is protected. And even when that is the case, we have to think of ways to involve people in different ways, because we've realised fellowships are often offered as a way into research, but not everyone wants to get involved in that way with a very personal award. So we're trying to think of ways to involve staff. For example, when we're developing bids, how can we involve staff in different aspects of the research design so that they can be involved without taking on a whole project? It's very important to celebrate success and the small achievements, especially in a long project like this that does require, that is not always easy to see, I think, tangibly what you've achieved. But we know that we have when we look back and reflect on the small things of going to an event and seeing people sign up, or suggesting speakers, people starting to come to us to request a literature review or advice on things. We realise that we are slowly starting to make an impact. So from that quite broad to very specific contracts, we've realised, fellows have their contracts set up differently. All of that takes time. And I think especially when working with smaller organisations, it can be challenging for them. They might not have done that kind of contracting before. So collaboration agreements are really helpful for that. And finally, it's really important from the start to consider the longevity and financial sustainability of the partnership. How, for example, communities of practice will become self-governing, be led by practice, which is something I didn't mention before, but when we started the communities of practice, the chairs were Anne-Marie and also Dr. Farhana Hashim, and they have handed over quite quickly to two of our fellows who are clearly from practice, as part of that move to kind of try and make them a bit more sustainable. But it continues to be a struggle, especially as our partnership was planned pre-COVID. We obviously started in 2021. So some of the ways of working and things haven't worked out the same as we expected in terms of sitting with each other all the time, sitting with teams, that kind of thing. So we've had to think about some of the ways that we will build the longevity in different ways, including applying for an extension, which we hope to hear about soon. I think that's our final slide. So we just have our details on there if anyone wants to contact us directly, and the final slide is our disclaimer that we are not representing the NIHR.